Horney was never a colleague of Freud, but was trained in the official psychoanalytic doctrine in the Freudian camp. However, she did not stay there for long. Their differences in views took place when she began to take issues regarding Freud's psychological portrayal of women. As she is an early feminist, she argued that psychoanalysis focused more on men's development than on women's. So, in contrast with Freud's, she started the womb envy, which made Freud really unhappy. Horney's theory was strongly influenced by her personal experiences during her childhood and adolescence years, alongside with social and cultural forces in which it is again in contrast with Freud's. Horney gave emphasis on social interactions and relationships as significant factors in forming the adult personality. According to her, people are not motivated by sexual urges, by sexual drives, again in contrast with Freud's, but rather, people are motivated with the need of love and security, which are clearly reflected in her life experiences. The childhood need for safety and security. Horney and Freud have lots of contradicting ideas regarding their proposed theories. But with this one major point, they both gave importance of the early years of child experiences in shaping their adult personality. However, Horney differed in terms of how it is formed, because she believed that social forces are what really influenced the development of the personality, in which social relationship is the key factor between it, the relationship between the parent and the child. Also, she believed that childhood was dominated by safety need. So, itong safety need na ito, hindi ito yung safety na kailangan may nagbabantay sa anak mo or dun sa bata 24/7. Hindi ito yung kailangan nila ng guard to serve it. Parang, bantayan sila. Ito yung safety na kailangan nila wherein free sila from fear. Na nakadepende naman yun sa kung paano yung treatment ng parents sa kanila. Kasi, meron talagang mga bata na alam nila na they are safe whenever their parents are around. So, yung reassurance nila, pag nandyan yung parents nila, sobrang grabe. However, the major way to weaken their security is by displaying the lack of affection and warmth, which was experienced by Horney when she was little. So, ganon, konti yung naramdaman niya or konti yung naibigay sa kanyang affection ng kanyang parents, kaya ganon din siya naging nung siya ay parent na sa kanyang 3 anak. So, lalo na nung naniniwala din kasi siya na kayang withstand ng bata yung mga traumatic experiences, yung mga harmful experiences, as long as they feel that they are wanted and loved. Basic anxiety, the foundation of neurosis. Alam ko marami sa atin naka-experience na or nakaka-experience pa rin ng anxiety. Even now, alam ko marami sa atin ang anxious. Pero ano nga ba ang anxiety? It is a feeling of fear, uneasiness, dread, which can cause you to feel restless, tensed. It can even cause you to sweat and have a rapid heartbeat. Also, it can be a normal reaction to stress. But basic anxiety was said to be the foundation of neurosis. Pero ano nga ba ang neurosis? Neurosis is a disorder that involves obsessive thoughts or anxiety and is way complex that is rarely used by modern psychologists because it is considered now to be outdated. But yeah, neurosis is a diagnosable psychological disorder that interferes with the quality of life without disrupting an individual's perception of reality. Kumbaga, it is considered as a psychological disorder pero andun ka pa sa realidad, andun ka pa sa katotohanan, hindi ka pa nadadala far beyond reality. And there are four self-protecting mechanisms proposed by Karen Horney, which are securing affection, being submissive, attaining power, and withdrawing. These four self-protecting mechanisms have one goal, which is to defend the individual against basic anxiety. Securing affection. Dito papasok yung kasabihan na, if you love me, you won't hurt me. Kung mahal mo ko, hindi mo ako sasaktan. Kung mahal mo ko, ibibigay mo to. Kung mahal mo ko, gagawin mo to. So, maraming paraan para ma-attain mo yung gusto mong affection. Andito yung bribing, andito yung threatening, and nandito din yung paggawa or pag-submit kung paano ka gusto nung tao or kung sino ka according to his or her preference. Being submissive. This describes Horney's experience during her ages 8 and 9. Being submissive simply means you are complying with what others or what people or everyone wishes. Submissive people cannot even defend themselves for they are afraid to antagonize those abusers. They dare not to criticize and they tend to have lots of repressed feelings and emotions for they cannot express themselves. They also believe that they are unselfish. Submissive people submit themselves towards what you or how you want them to be or what you want them to do. Submissive people are simply submitting to what you wishes. Attaining power. This serves as a person's compensation towards their feeling of helplessness and attain security via the feeling of a superior. This describes Horney's experience during her childhood years when she started to strive for academic success. One good example for this attaining power is President Rodrigo Duterte. So, for example lang to, wag niyong masamain. So, President Duterte believes that no one can harm him or no one can even attempt to harm him because he has the ultimate power. Dahil nga siya ang presidente ng bansa, siya ang ating ruler, siya ang ating superior, which is true na kaya naniniwala siya na having this power or being the president gives him a sense of security with his life na hindi nga siya kayang kantiin ng kahit na sino or even attempt to harm him. Withdrawing. The first three self-protecting mechanisms all involved with the interaction between individuals. However, this one is different. Withdrawing is distancing themselves not physically but psychologically with people. They build invisible barrier or invisible line that no one can cross. So, ito yung mga tao na nagsa-self-isolate. Bakit nga ba? Bakit nila ginagawa yun? Dahil ito yung way nila in protecting themselves from harm, from being hurt. So, sila yung mga taong maraming repressed feelings, repressed emotions and desires, and they only rely on themselves. And they do not allow others to interfere or even interact with their own business.
Ngayon naman ay dadako tayo sa neurotic needs ni Karen Horney. So basically, neurotics have neurotic needs, Ito yung mga nabubuong needs because of basic anxiety. And of course, not every neurotic person has all of these 10. But most of them ay meron ito. And these are the needs for affection and approval, a dominant partner, power, exploitation, prestige, admiration, achievement of ambition, self-sufficiency, perfection, and narrow limits to life. Hindi ko na may discuss sa inyo to isa-isa kasi I know you can understand the meaning from the word itself na. And actually, you can group these 10 neurotic needs later on to the next slide at doon na natin pag-uusap-usapan. Now, it is grouped into neurotic trends. Dito na nag-evolve yung neurotic needs. Now, it is termed neurotic trends. Ito yung pinakabagong version ni Horney kasi yung unang version niya, yun yung tinatawag nating protective mechanisms na na-mentioned earlier. Yun yung securing affection, being submissive, attaining power, and withdrawing. Tapos, in-expand lang niya at ginawa itong 10, which is the neurotic needs. At ngayon naman, kinontract niya at ginawang 3 na lang. So, neurotic trends is composed of 3 categories of behaviors, and attitudes toward oneself and others that express a person's needs. And these are the compliant personality, aggressive personality, and detached personality. So, first neurotic trend natin is moving towards people, and it is referred as the compliant personality. Ang components nito from the neurotic needs ay ang need for affection and approval, and a need for a dominant partner. So, ayun, due to basic anxiety, they feel helpless kasi they cannot stand against other people. So, ang conclusion nito ay is maging compliant sila. Sila yung mga neurotic person na mayroong intense and continuous need for affection and approval, an urge to be loved, wanted, and protected. Although, of course, pag sumobra, hindi na ito healthy. For example, sa isang couple, if the other has a compliant personality at lumala, maaari niyang mamanipulate ang kanyang partner. They do whatever the situation requires as they interpret it to gain affection and approval and love, of course. Well, sa modern term naman, ito na yung tinatawag nating codependency, which is toxic na nga dahil hindi nila na-realize na sila ay nagiging codependent sa partner nila. Sinadjust din ni Horney na sinasabi ng mga compliant people ay parang, look at me, I'm so weak and helpless that you must protect and love me. Just like that. Our next neurotic trend naman is moving against people, or this is what you call the aggressive personality. Components naman niya ay yung 5, which are the power, exploitation, prestige, admiration, and achievement. Ito yung mga parating galit, charot. Sa mundo kasi nila, everyone is hostile. They are domineering and has a controlling manner. ito yung mga neurotic person na gagawin ng lahat just to attain superiority and power. Parang uhaw na uhaw sila sa mga achievements and recognitions. Kung saan ito naman yung mga paraan nila para lang makover yung basic anxiety na nararamdaman nila. So, ayun no, aggressive personalities appear to be confident sa mga abilities nila. Pero at some point, kagaya ng compliant personality, they are also driven by insecurity, anxiety, and hostility. Lastly is moving away from other people. Ito naman yung detached personality. They are driven to move away from other people para ma-maintain ang emotional distance. Ito yung mga neurotic person na ayaw ma-involved in any way sa ibang tao. So, to sum up, bale nakuha na natin yung dalawang neurotic need para sa compliant personality, 5 naman sa aggressive personality, and then yung natitirang 3 ay para na sa detached personality. Ito naman ay yung self-sufficiency, perfection, and narrow limits to life. Kung sila naman ay nahihirapan sa isang bagay, mas gugustuhin nilang sarilihin na lang ito kesa umasa sa iba. They have a desperate desire for privacy. They have a need to be superior to, pero hindi same ng way ng ginagawa ng ibang neurotic person na may aggressive personality. Ang aggressive kasi nga, 'di ba? Gusto nilang matapakan yung ibang tao muna para sila ay makangat. Pero itong detached personality, gusto nilang ipakita na kaya nilang sarili nila na without relying on to others. And detached personality suppress or deny all feelings toward people, particularly the feelings of love and hate. Ang intimacy ay maglilid lamang sa conflict. So, it's better for them to just avoid others. So, idadagdag ko lang din, kung mapapansin nyo, itong mga neurotic trends ni Karen Horney ay may pagkakapareho sa personality theory ni Alfred Adler. Compliant personality ni Horney, yung getting type naman ni Adler. Aggressive personality is yung dominant or ruling type naman. And then yung detached personality is similar to the avoiding type ni Alfred Adler. Isa lamang itong example kung paano na-impluensyahan ng mga ideas ni Adler ng later explanations ni Horney about the personality. Now, I will discuss Horney's concept of the idealized self-image. Sabi ni Horney, lahat tayo, normal man or neurotic, meron tayong idealized self na napipicture na gusto nating maging. For normal people, ayon, the self-image is an idealized picture of oneself built on a flexible, realistic assessment of one's abilities, while for the neurotics, they tend to idealize themselves to solve conflicts by painting a godlike picture of oneself. Yun nga. Gagawa sila ng paraan para ma-meet yung demands ng external world. Dahil nga neurotic sila, they tend to be over the top, like creating an exaggerated version of themselves. Just like the tyranny of the shoulds. Ito yung mga expectations sa sarili. Like, I should be like this, I should be like that. And there's nothing wrong with expectations naman, obviously, but they can definitely get out of hand. Ito ay madalas nag-a-appear sa self-image ng isang neurotic person. They highly expect themselves to be perfect. So, kapag di nila na-achieve yung isang bagay, mapupunta ito sa self-hatred. And it will turn into a disappointment sa sarili nila. Hindi lang yung self-hatred na surface level ha. Ito yung aabot sila sa point na pati yung sarili nila mismo ay hindi nila kayang tanggapin. Yung neurotics, ayan, they tend to build a fantasy world. Yung para bang sobrang layo na sa realidad. So, para na itong delusion Sa externalization naman, it is the one way in which neurotics attempt to defend themselves against inner conflicts caused by discrepancy between idealized and real self-images. Yung ibang neurotics naman, para sa kanila. External forces ay one of the sources ng isang conflict. So, parang projection ito na defense mechanism naman ni Sigmund Freud. To sum this up, yung mga downfall ng isang neurotic na tao, nakakalungkot siya kasi, ayun, tuloy-tuloy nga hanggang sa nagli-lead sa self-hatred. Para kasi itong loop, ayun, nagsisimula ka sa pagkakaroon ng basic anxiety. The more na nakakagamit ka ng isang neurotic trend, ng idealized self-image na nabibuild up mo sa sarili mo, and then napupunta sa self-hatred, nagiging hostile ka na sa sarili mo at sa mga taong nakapaligid sa'yo, then ulit-ulit, and so on and so forth. Ayun, delikado ito at lalo na kung hindi ito naagapan. Next naman is yung concept ni Karen Horney ng feminine psychology. Ayun, to Horney, feminine psychology is the revision of psychoanalysis to encompass the psychological of conflicts inherent in the traditional ideal of womanhood and women's roles. So basically, dito in-express ni Horney ang pagdi-disagree niya with Freud's view on women. Konting history lang tayo dito. Ito ay nagsimula noong 1992 at siya yung kauna-unahang babaeng nag-present ng paper on the topic sa isang International Psychoanalytic Congress kung saan ginanap yung meeting sa Berlin, which is chaired by Sigmund Freud. Yung about naman sa womb envy ni Karen Horney, it is about the envy male towards a female because she can bear a child. Ito naman yung response ni Horney to Freud's concept of penis envy. So ayun dito na nagbatehan yung dalawa dahil sa magkaibang paniniwala ng isa't isa. Freud described women kasi as inferior to men, while Horney rejected his concept of penis envy. At she declared na this is both inaccurate and demeaning to women. Hindi rin pinaniwalaan ni Horney ang concept ni Freud na Oedipus complex because it had little to do with these drives, and was instead a product of insecurity sa relationship between ng parent and ng child. So, in cultural influences on feminine psychology, Horney recognized the impact of social and cultural forces on the development of personality. Sinabi rin na different cultures and social groups view women's roles in different ways, At marami din kasing iba't ibang concept ng feminine psychology mula sa iba't ibang bansa. Women are different on each other. But in general, women are characterized to be modest, tender, and values the quality of life. So, pag kinontrast natin itong attitude with the widely accepted views of a woman's place in a society, we can easily accept Horney's position that the feminine psyche is influenced, even determined by cultural forces.
Questions about Horney's human nature. Horney's image of human nature is more optimistic than the one with Freud. One of her reasons for her optimism was that biological forces do not limit our individual character. To Horney, each person has a unique neurotic behavior. When it occurs, result from social forces in childhood. The parent-child relationship can either provide the child with safety or it can be frustrating and can cause neurotic behavior. If a child was raised in unconditional love and acceptance, they can avoid these issues. The only thing that can stop us from developing our intrinsic abilities and potential is childhood. This is because it prevents us from acquiring the necessary experiences to prepare ourselves for adulthood. In her book entitled Self-Analysis, she noted that our ability to help solve our own problems. On the issue of the free will versus determination, Horney argued in the favor of the former. We can all shape our lives and achieve self-realization. Assessment on Horney's theory. The most crucial differences between Freud and Horney was the relationship between the analyst and the patient. Dream analysis. Horney believed that dreams could reveal a person's real self, and that served as a way to solve problems in a constructive manner. She also noted that each dream should be explained within the context of a patient's conflict. Free analysis. For Horney, the key to understanding patients' inner lives was to determine how they reacted to her. She did not investigate the possibility that the patient have sexual fantasies or alter their body based on their past experiences. Horney believed that each of attitude or feelings is resulted from a deeper pre-existing attitude, which in turn had resulted from a deeper and so on. Self-report inventories. Many of the tests used for assessing Horney's personality were based on the theories she presented. One example was the computerized adverse behavior inventory, which measures the three personality types: aggressive, compliant, and detached. Studies with children and college students confirmed the HCTI's validity. It measures the various personality types including aggressive and detached. Male students scored higher on the detached and aggressive scales, which means women scored lower. The research also showed the relationship between Horney's three neurotic types and various personality disorder. Research on Horney's theory. Horney used the case study method. Therefore, her approach, data, and interpretations are subject to the same criticisms made earlier by the work of Freud, Jung, and Adler. The case study method is not only flawed by other theories. This method is not only flawed by its approach, but also its interpretations. As with Freud, Jung, and Adler, then we do not have the complete records of the analytic sessions and the data she collected during them. However, she tried to be rigorous and scientific in her clinical observations, formulating hypotheses, testing them in therapeutic situations, and maintaining that her data is tested the same way scientists in other fields tested theirs.